You know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't even have an intro for this podcast. Um, Wanted to start something new because, I haven't been active on here this much at all. I don't know, like, YouTube just hasn't been working out for me this year so far. I mean, it's been a good year. It's just, I don't know, something with YouTube. I just haven't had the urge to do it like I used to. This used to be something where, like, I was always wanting to make videos or podcasts or whatever, I don't know, just a slow year for me. I'm sure most of you know by now that I have changed the name of the channel. I was once Michael Myers Reacts, but now I am Horror Bloody Horror, and I actually like that name better. So this is HBH Podcast. I'm sure you guys can figure out what HBH stands for. I'm going to start a new podcast series, something I've always enjoyed doing. Those of you who have been around for a while know that I'm a big podcast fan. I love just turning on a microphone and just chatting, so that's probably what I'm going to be doing a lot now on this channel. This is a series that I want to try to keep consistent. I'm not going to make any promises because you guys know how that is. Like, I always say I'm going to do something and then it doesn't happen. And then I kind of feel bad about it because, you guys are expecting something. When you subscribe to this channel, you're expecting new content, of course. So I'm going to try to do these as much as possible. And I thought the first episode I would talk about Halloween Ends because I haven't given my thoughts on the movie yet. It's been out for like 2 weeks or more, whatever. I don't know. I think it's been over 2 weeks now. Haven't given my thoughts on Halloween Ends. I did see it on opening day, October 14th. And, obviously the horror community and the Halloween fan base, I guess, has been very divided with this movie. Makes sense. It's definitely one of those type of Halloween movies that divides the fans. So, let me just say first off, I don't completely hate Halloween Ends. I'm just going to say that right now because I know some people absolutely hate this movie. Some people absolutely love it. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. I'm actually not a fan of Halloween Ends. I might as well just go out and say it. I might as well just say it right here, right now. I'm not a fan of Halloween Ends, unfortunately, which is sad because I'm going to be honest, it was definitely one of my most anticipated movies of this year. I mean, it's a new Halloween movie. I'm a Halloween fan. What do you expect? And I expected so much more from this movie, and it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't really what I wanted. I mean, of course, you don't always get what you want anyways. But what they did with this was just weird. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I want to say this right now. I know a lot of people make that argument like, oh, well, you just want your typical same Halloween stuff over and over again. You don't want change or whatever. I'm always down for a change, but if you're going to make a change, you got to do it right. And I'm not saying the whole... Well, I guess I should say this before I go any further. I should have said this right up front. This is going to be a spoiler discussion / review of the movie, so if you haven't seen Halloween Ends yet, watch the movie and then come back and listen to this podcast. Let's just say the whole copycat Myers thing was not really an issue for me as much as you would think. Now, I'm not a fan of that idea. But I'm okay with them trying to do something different. The only reason why I don't like this movie is the whole movie as a whole, one big movie, it's just flat. There's not enough going on. It's a love story between Allison and Corey. I didn't sign up for a Lifetime Hallmark movie, so that was stupid. There's not enough Michael in this, and I hate saying that because I've seen this whatever this, I don't know what it is, but there's a thing going around where it's like, oh, well, Michael has more screen time in Halloween Ends than he does in the original. Let that sit with you. I get it. Like, that's fine. But when you watch Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, I mean, Michael has majority of the screen time. It's very much focused on Michael Myers. Why they chose not to make Halloween Ends focused on Michael Myers is beyond me. I really don't know why. They chose to focus this movie on Corey Cunningham, especially with this being the third movie in your trilogy. Introducing a new character 3 movies in is really not a good idea. Not sure why they did that. But the whole Michael thing is an issue for me because you have two movies previous to this one that really focus on Michael. We have a lot of Michael Myers in it, and this one was just like, nah, we're not going to do that. And I get it, the original movie didn't have Michael in it a whole bunch either, but that's a fantastic build-up movie. Michael stalking, and then once you do get to that final act, I mean, it's well worth it. This movie's final act was very underwhelming, I guess you could say. Like, the fight between Laurie and Michael was not good at all to me. I mean, it's not all bad. Like, I do like some of the things they did with Michael, but the fight between them was not what I really was expecting. I mean, the fight between Michael and Laurie was actually better in Halloween 2018 than Halloween Ends, and it should have been really the other way around. I don't know. I just felt like this movie fell short. It almost feels like they had ideas for two Halloween films, but not a third one, but they had to make a third one because they already announced that they were doing a trilogy. Maybe they made that announcement like a little too quick. I know that they wanted to see how successful 18 was going to be before they even made any more, which was a good idea. But I still feel like they didn't have enough for three movies, so this movie kind of became whatever David Gordon Green and the other writers wanted it to be. And speaking of that, there's four writers for Halloween Ends, and that it helped. I will say it helped. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Halloween Ends, I do think this is the best written one out of the trilogy. I like a lot of lines in the movie. It just feels more better written. I mean, it's not the best written movie still. It still has its issues, but out of the three, it is the best one, writing wise. But yeah, I don't know. It just, as a whole, this movie just fell short for me. It doesn't feel like a Halloween movie at all. Again, I'm all about change. If you want to do something different in this franchise, I'm all for it, but just make it work. What they did here in Halloween Ends does not work for me. It really doesn't. And it's not the whole copycat Myers thing. I mean, if you're going to do something weird and bizarre, I mean, you can go for it, but just make it work. They made Michael something that he's really not in this movie. So I'm sure most of you know by now. I'm not going to get into this too much because people like to argue, is Michael supernatural? Is he human? What is he? David Gordon Green said before this trilogy even became a trilogy, I think this was before 18 came out or like right around the time 18 was coming out, whatever. He said that he wanted to go back to the roots of the franchise and make Michael a man again. But then again, there are things in this new trilogy that can make you believe that he's supernatural. So I really don't know what they're doing with this trilogy. But in Halloween Ends, Michael's super weak. He's just not Michael Myers. He's literally nothing in this movie. He's a background character pretty much, and it's almost like it was supposed to be a different movie, and they just threw Michael in there and still called it Halloween. It just feels weird, and I mean, I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me. But again, I don't completely hate this movie. I don't think it's the worst in the franchise. It is lower tier for me, though, because I'm not really a big fan of this one at all. But yeah, I mean, it just fell short for me. That's really all I could say about it. I don't have a lot to say about it. It's a disappointment, probably the biggest disappointment of the year for me, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because, I'm a Halloween fan. I want every movie that they make to be good, but that's in a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world, so that's never going to happen. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Halloween Ends. It just wasn't what I was expecting. It fell short, and if you love it, that's great. If you hate it, then you hate it. I don't hate it. Again, I don't. I'm not really in the middle with it. I mean, I can maybe give it a 5 out of 10 or something, but I don't know. Right now it's a 4.5 for me out of 10. Definitely not a big fan of it. I just wanted more from it. It was Halloween Ends, and I know the whole Michael versus Laurie stuff is, pretty much recycled material at this point. We've had it so much, but this trilogy was already building up to that again, so you might as well have done it, but done something different with the fight between them. And this movie didn't really make any big moves at all. Like, no big character really dies. Only Michael Myers dies. And I don't know. That's not the choice I would have made. I mean, I am happy for the character of Laurie Strode because now she can go on and live her life in peace. She doesn't have to worry about Michael. Even the town of Haddonfield can kind of live on in peace now. They don't have to worry about Michael or anything like that. And speaking of Haddonfield, I know this is kind of random, but I'm going to mention it now. I did like one thing in Halloween Ends that they did. different was the people in Haddonfield that live in Haddonfield as a town were committing suicide. It was like Michael, they couldn't take like what happened to maybe, a loved one that died. Actually, you do see Oscar's mom dead. She ended up hanging herself, which I thought was really unique and different for the franchise. That's something that I think absolutely worked. I thought that was really creative and cool, but other than that, I mean, it fell short. It really did. James Jude Courtney is great as Michael again, of course. I'm not going to take that away from him. I don't know. The look was good. There's a few decent shots that I like that shot of Michael in the sewer and the cobwebs in front of the mask when Michael's choking Corey and he lets Corey go. Like, that shot was cool. The shot with Michael grabbing the knife out of the rock and kind of raising up or standing up looked really cool. Those shots really stood out to me. Those are really the only two. Jamie Lee Curtis did great as Laurie again. Everyone did great again. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, the only way that I could describe Halloween Ends is it just falls short. That's really all I can say about it. Just a disappointment for me personally. And I know people are really liking this movie. They really like the feel of it. They like that it's different. I think that's awesome. I'm definitely glad that it has its fans. It just didn't do it for me. But yeah, overall, I'm just disappointed, but then again, it is what it is. I do think it's a good end. Some people said this doesn't necessarily feel like an ending. I think it does. I think it feels like an ending because there is an ending. Michael Myers dies and Laurie can live her life and do what she has to do. Just do what she doesn't have to worry about Michael anymore. So there's definitely an ending here. It's not left open. It doesn't make us think, oh, well, maybe there could be another one, or maybe Michael's not really dead. There's none of that. So it does have a legit ending, and that I'm happy about. But yeah, it is what it is. It makes me not want to watch David Gordon Green's Exorcist trilogy, and it's not because, I don't know. It's like, do I really want to get into another trilogy just for him to make another bad last movie? I've been kind of fighting with myself with it. It's like, should I watch it or should I not watch it? I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's not all David Gordon Green's fault, though. He wasn't the only writer, but he definitely had control over a lot of things. So I'm not sure how I know Exorcist is a whole different thing. It's not Halloween. I get that, but it's like, do I really want to get into another trilogy and just have another bad last movie again? I'm not sure. Something I'll think about before next October when we get his first Exorcist movie in his new trilogy. But overall, this has been the first episode of HBH Podcast. I know it's not a long one. I want to make longer ones in the future, but I kind of wanted to see how this one was going to do. So if you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. Also, let me know what you guys thought of Halloween Ends in the comment section down below. And if you're new here, subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe because, again, I have not been very active at all this year. But if you want to hear more of me talk about horror movies, and if you enjoy this first episode of this new podcast series, definitely subscribe. I would appreciate that. Leave a like on this podcast if you haven't. That helps me out as well. And I will hopefully hear from you guys really soon.